The rival was dumped by an online dating partner. But when he called the other party with red eyes and begged to get back together, my phone, which was laughing at him, rang suddenly. He looked at me in disbelief. I was drenched in sweat. Scam calls are only. Late one night not long after, I was pressed into the corner by him, and his voice was aggrieved. You make it clear. What did I lie to you? When I heard about Owen Kitto's breakup, I'm actually gloating. My friend photographed him getting drunk alone at a bar. In the video, he lowered his eyelashes. His black hair was messy and scattered in front of his forehead, exuding a decadent and indifferent atmosphere, silently pouring one cup after another. My mom shook her head when she found out. Let me, as his peer, enlighten him. I readily agreed. After all, I'm his nemesis. Don't laugh at him at this time. But when arrived at the bar, I caught my eye on Owen Kitto on the booth. Before I walked over, a girl tried to get close and strike up a conversation with him. Was ruthlessly rejected by him. I walked up to him with bad intentions. Owen Kitto, what's wrong with you? His drooping head lifted slowly. The skin was tinged with a faint crimson. The eyes that used to be always uninhibited, at the moment, it is like a puppy wet in the rain, innocent and pitiful. I have to admit it, as a sworn enemy, I relented for a second. Of course, only for a second. I raised the corners of my mouth. What's wrong with you? Suddenly he said to me, obedient. I was stunned for a moment. The next second, he grabbed his wrist. Why did you break up with me? Caught off guard, he was pulled in front of him. I broke up with you. Owen Kitto, you recognized the wrong person. The noise of the bar swallowed up my voice. I don't know. He took my arms around my waist and pressed me against him, his tone stubborn and gentle. You say, what's wrong with me? Can I change it? The next second, a piece of warmth was placed on the forehead. The warm, gentle touch made me wake up instantly. I want to push him, but he pressed him into his arms again. In desperation, I bit down on his collarbone. I only heard a hiss, and the power that imprisoned me was released. Owen Kitto, do you see who I am? His dark eyelashes shook violently. He also seemed to be sober for the most part. Louise Hamlet, I'm sorry. He withdrew his hand and said lightly. He rubbed his aching temples. I asked, do you know what you just did to me? But he asked knowingly, what did I do? You just kissed me. I was obviously very angry, but my face began to heat up. TSK, I should have recorded the evidence of your crime just now. Under the light, he looked at me with an obscure look in his eyes. Then, a wicked smile appeared at the corner of his lips. Oh, why don't you come back? You want to be beautiful. Although very reluctantly, I sent him home anyway. Originally, I didn't plan to care about him, but after laughing at him, he left immediately. But when he turned to leave, I heard a plop. Owen Kitto had collapsed on the table. Real dishes. No wonder he recognized the wrong person just now. I sent a message to his brother Jackson. Come to the bar and pick up your brother. No, I'm on vacation abroad with my dad now, and I won't be able to fly back for a while. Jackson said he couldn't pull away right now. Instead of laughing, he had to help Owen Kitto out of the bar. He was next to my shoulder. I counted him down. I really obeyed you. If you lose love, you will die or live. I have never seen a few people as spineless as you. If it weren't for my beauty and kindness, I wouldn't have bothered to pay attention to you. I've just finished speaking. I felt that the weight on my body was heavy again. Do you know how much you weigh now? I finally helped him into the taxi. I gasped. The next second I just took out my phone and wanted to complain. My shoulders were heavy. I turned my head and saw his tall nose close at hand, slightly frowning eyebrows, and long, narrow eyelashes that were closed because of discomfort. I nudged him, my shoulders flashing back. Then he fell straight to my lap. Hey, get up. Are you trying to take advantage of me? Owen Kitto, the drunkard, didn't move. The driver in the front seat suddenly laughed when he saw this scene. Girl, was your boyfriend drunk by you? Uncle driver, don't talk nonsense. He's not my boyfriend. It's almost the same to say that he is an enemy. I know, I rejoice. You know a hammer. Looking at Owen Kitto, who didn't know what was muttering on his lap, I suddenly had a plan. Took out his mobile phone, turned on the video, and began to shoot at him. Owen Kitto, the way you are now, who pulled you out of the fire and water, and who sent you home with great mercy. It's Louis Hamlet. When he sobers up, I'm going to send him this video to see how crazy he is. Finally helped him to the door of the house. He still can't get in. He also squatted on the ground, and his voice was so aggrieved. You promised me not to break up, so I went in. I'll treat you as angry about yesterday's events. You must know how he usually looks when he passes by, domineering and arrogant. If it weren't for the fear that his appearance would make passers-by misunderstand our relationship, I didn't bother with him. He is the only one in his family, all year round. His parents are both working abroad, so they don't have time to care about him. The huge villa was empty, and I threw him on the couch and prepared to slip away. He took my arm again. What's wrong with me? The temperature of the palm of the hand is piping hot. The cold light above his head shone on his dazed face, and his lowered eyes were red. Tell me, why doesn't she want me? It turned out that it was not the wrong person. It's asking for my opinion. It was impossible for him to do when he was sober, but before I could speak, his grip on me slowly let go, hanging limply. I suddenly had a lot of sex. A demonic whisper sounded in his ear. Do you think she'll like you like this depravity? If you are so reluctant to let her go, why don't you call her and tell her what you think? What's the use of getting drunk here? Wouldn't it be better for you to ask her directly than to ask me? But she said she didn't want to answer my phone. Maybe she'll take it again. Don't you want to try it? I say. Owen Kitto listened to me and really took out his phone. He typed out a string of numbers with great speed with his hands. It's like muscle memory. I quickly clicked and dialed. I also took out my phone and crouched down beside him, prepared to record the image of him being severely humiliated so that he can be ridiculed in the future. But the second he connected the phone, my phone's caller is ringing. The remark is, ex-boyfriend. I smiled. Owen Kitto looked at me. What am I? What am I? I reacted very quickly to my feet. Scam calls. Just that. The phone he was dialing was cut off. No, it won't be such a coincidence. The guess in my mind was verified. At the moment, my heart is empty. His thin lips mocked himself. I said, she won't answer. After saying that, he dialed again. My ex-boyfriend called again, but this time, I muted it in advance. I got up. It's not early. I won't bother you, lest your girlfriend hear the voice of a woman next to her and misunderstand. But there is a villain screaming madly inside. It can't be such a coincidence, right? I walked to the door without believing it. Press on. A drunken, familiar voice rang out over there. Boy, you're finally willing to answer my call. The heart I hung over, completely hanged at this moment, when the mind goes blank. Hang up cleanly. How did I get Owen Kitto? It all started more than half a year ago. I was in college with Owen Kitto. I was in A and he was in C University. One day I heard in the alumni group that he was in love. There are also photos of him and the girls in the group. That back is really called a talented woman. As his nemesis, I certainly don't want to be left behind. I found an online dating partner that night. That guy is my longtime gaming partner. The game technology is strong, and the sound is good to hear. Last week he offered to run for the show. I hesitated. After all, it was a bit casual at the beginning, and I didn't take this relationship very seriously. But if it's a handsome guy, it's not that you can't consider it. I clicked through to his homepage. A 200-pound fat house took a selfie with the camera. and compared it to a backhand. The accompanying text said, "Start working out today. Do you think you can succeed?" I was disillusioned. My roommate once told me that most fat people have good voices and sing well. I didn't believe it at the time, until I had to believe it when I saw this disillusioning photo. Me, break up, we're not suitable. After posting this sentence, the backhand is a deletion. Now that I think about it, I really don't know what kind of nerves Owen Kiddo posted. So I posted a fat otaku photo on the homepage. Now I don't know if I should be glad that I kicked him early. Otherwise, I'm sure, if the two of us did show up, Owen Kiddo would have turned around and left. At that time, it is estimated that it will not be a lovelorn and drunk. It should be a champagne to celebrate a happy breakup, tossing and turning all night. The next day, I slept until 3 poles in the morning. I was woken up by my mother's loud voice. "Louise Hamlet, get up, Owen Kiddo is coming for you." I got up sleepily, and the moment I went downstairs and saw the visitor, my mind suddenly cleared. Owen Kiddo wears a gray hoodie, light-colored jeans, and her hair glows a faint blonde in the sunlight outside the window. "How are you?" He raised an eyebrow and said, "Why can't it be me?" I pulled down my pajamas covered with strawberries and poured a glass of water. Nothing to do but go to the Three Treasures Palace. Usually I don't want to see him, even if he comes to my house. I also treat him as heir. But this kind of calmness disappeared after I found out yesterday that he was the online dating partner I dumped, and was replaced by an unspeakable void of heart. I took a few gulps with my back to him. "By the way, I sent you back last night. I know it's you." "And what else do you know?" I asked tentatively. He slid his fingertips across the screen of his phone. The lazy aura on his body disappeared suddenly. "Look up and look at me, Louise Hamlet. Have you done something too much to me?" I was shocked. A line of words floated through his mind like a barrage. "Help, help, help, help. He found me. What should I do?" He still pretended to be confused. "You make it clear. How can I do anything excessive to you?" He tore open his neckline. There is an ambiguous red mark on the boy's cold white collarbone. "Tell me, why are you taking advantage of people's danger?" I was speechless for a second. "You're embarrassed to say that it was you who recognized the wrong person and hugged me first. And then my mom came in out of the blue." I quickly dragged him into my room. In the mirror, both sides of my face were already glowing with suspicious powder. "Anyway, I sent you to your house yesterday and left. Obviously you took advantage of me yesterday." He scoffed. "How did I take advantage of you?" "To prove my innocence. I showed him the video from yesterday in the taxi. In the video, he fell on my lap, and I couldn't push it away. Look at it. Are you taking advantage of me? When you were in the bar, you also kissed me. You say, are you worthy of your girlfriend? But I'll finish it." There was a sudden silence in the air. Owen Kiddo lowered his head weakly, and his voice was a little hoarse. "But she doesn't want me anymore. What do you think I'm going to do?" My heart pounded. I reacted quickly and comforted him. "On a girl I haven't even seen. Maybe it's a 60-year-old man, with a voice changer on the other side." He shook his head. "You don't understand." "I don't understand again." "She's fine." Owen Kiddo looked at me and said, "There must be something unspeakable about the breakup. I'm damned. It's not good to hurt anyone." "How can you hurt him?" "When I was a child, he was the one who always bullied me, and in a blink of an eye I became the one who stood at the lowest point of morality." Woo-hoo-hoo. In the evening, my cousin told me again. Owen Kiddo went to his bar again to get drunk. He drank a table of wine and ran up to the stage to grab the guitar of the resident singer. In the dim light, the boy's voice was low, singing an English song. His eyebrows and eyes were hidden in the shadows, but it still made people feel that his sadness seemed to overflow from the end of his eyes. This song, Just Say Hello, is dedicated to my good girl. His singing completely made me sit up in a dying state and get up from the bed. Afterthought of guilt welled up in my heart. Eat melons to pause. I'll persuade you. Okay. My mom saw me hurrying out and asked me why I was going. I didn't look back. Go and save the runaway girl. Oh no, the lovelorn boy. My mom figured out who I was talking about in a second. It's strange that I didn't see you as active yesterday. When I got to the bar, I also heard a girl discussing Owen Kiddo. The boy who sang just now was too handsome and affectionate. Yes, the man who abandoned him really has no eyes. I have eyes and no beads. I looked around the bar and didn't see anyone, so I came out and took a look. Under the thick and lush banyan tree at the door, Owen Kiddo's fingertips were a little scarlet, and his figure was slender and depressed. I walked briskly over to it, patted him on the shoulder. Can I talk to you? Owen Kiddo looked sideways at me, lifted his lips and said, come and see me, laughing again. The comforting words that had just reached my throat suddenly froze. No, am I like that? He looked at me, and the look spoke for itself. It's really the heart of a villain, and the belly of a gentleman. Isn't it just a lost love? As for your unproductive appearance, it's not like your usual appearance at all. I look down on you, a little. She likes boys who can shake flowers. I studied all night yesterday. I didn't learn. It's normal for you to look down on me. You don't remember anything else, but you remember the phrase, shake the flower, until now. Me, then you may not be suitable. Don't learn it. It's useless. Seeing that he was silent, and did not say a word, I took advantage of the victory to pursue and break his defenses. Actually, I know your feelings. I just broke up. He raised his eyebrows slightly. You were dumped too. I mumbled, yes, we're kind of in the same boat. As soon as he finished speaking, he laughed meaninglessly. What are you laughing at? Your temper doesn't look like you're going to be dumped. It's like you're going to dump people. I really can't refute that, because he was right, but I was iron-headed and continued. You learn from me. What's the big deal about falling out of love? Wouldn't it be good to go back and sleep for 3 days and 3 nights? Can't sleep? Why, he said, I can't even find her. So how can I sleep for 3 days and 3 nights? And I'm not that shameless. What hellish comprehension is he? I'm talking about sleeping, letting you sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, not letting you sleep with her. I'm sorry, it's my heart. He tossed the cigarette butt into a trash can not far away. I turned my head to calm down, and heard him ask again, there's no other way to get me out than sleep. Of course, when you hang out with your friends and get tired, you don't have the energy to think about people you shouldn't think. Hear the words. Owen Kiddo's eyes sank again. You know, I've never had any friends. Okay, I owe you it. I pointed to myself. Your friend is here. What? You even called Owen Kiddo? Eleanor posted 5 incredible memes in a row. Aren't you 2 bitter rivals, who never get along? Yes, I thought it was, too. But the truth is, I've been calling each other husband and wife on the internet for months. When I think about it, I can tear the ground under my feet. My friends and I made an appointment to play in the newly opened haunted house in a nearby mall. Owen Kiddo joined. It makes my friends feel like enemies. After all, they were all on the same side as me before that. But after the tall and thin boy came over and said hello with a light smile, 1 or 2 couldn't help but smile like a nymphomaniac. Hello, Owen Kiddo. When the mood was good, Jackson suddenly tapped him on the shoulder. Dude, I heard you're out of love. If you want me to say, your appearance is also an absolute instant kill for all men, except for me. Of course, thank you for the recognition. She's the one who dumped you. I heard a black line on my face. Owen Kiddo, she should have a hard time. I'm really going to cry to death. Hey, I didn't expect you to be a big lover, Jackson said, suddenly pointing at me. Look at our Louise Hamlet. She also just broke up in online dating, and now she is still alive and, Jackson, I couldn't bear to interrupt this broken mouth. You can't open any pot. There was silence behind him for 2 seconds. Suddenly, Owen Kito's voice was heard overhead. You're also online dating. Ha ha ha, yes. Didn't I tell you that day? You didn't say that. I quickly brainstormed. Actually, I met with the man, and after we met, the man thought I was young and left. The thoughtful look on his face faded again. Meeting. Yes, he's in his 40s, old and ugly. He doesn't like me. I hate him. 40, are you sure? Yes, yes, it's still a deception, saying that the 8-pack abs are good, and the result is only one, a proper fraud. The more I talked, the more energetic I became, and I was almost convinced by myself. Owen Kito's expression changed without noticing. Okay, let's not talk about it. Don't mention these sad things. I happened to pass by the crane machine, and I hurriedly took it when I saw it. Let's go and catch the doll. Owen Kito caught it several times in a row without success. If it had been before, I would have laughed at him, a long time ago. But who makes me feel guilty about this man now? I took the currency. I'll come. The crane machine is as nemesis. In the blink of an eye, I had 5 more dolls in my tote bag. Awesome. Right. Awesome. I got a satisfactory answer from Owen Kito. So, I handed him one of the cute little green dragons I caught. Year of the Dragon. This is for you. It's just that after he took it, he stared at the doll in his hand for a few seconds, and seemed to be a little distracted. What are you thinking? Nothing. It's not like you've been stunned for so long, and you haven't heard it twice. Owen Kito, I just remembered that she told me that she loved to catch dolls too. His expression darkened, and the light around him seemed to dim a little. I'm damned. Ask this kind of question. She also said that, when she and I get married in the future, she will grab a doll and put it on our marriage bed. But it's a pity that, the moment he raised his eyes, the tails of his eyes were still a little red. She broke her promise. The background music of the mall is just put to the climax. Guilt crept into my body like a musical note. Jackson behind him was already in tears. A handful of snot and tears. Owen Kito, your ex-girlfriend is really ruthless. She hurt you so badly, and she swallowed 100 needles for someone who failed her sincerity. I felt a sore throat. I stuffed all the dolls I found into Owen Kito's arms. To you, all to you, all for you, all for me. Owen Kito was surprised. When I saw this, I straightened my face. Do you want it? Then you're welcome. He reached out and took it, his thin lips curling. I somehow feel a little lighter. I feel like a faint gentleman now, doing everything I can just to smile for the sake of concubine fraternity. Coming out of the restroom, Owen Kito was waiting at the exit. The boy obviously has a cold and flamboyant face, but he carries a big bag of dolls in his hand. I thought he was so cute. No, it's probably the guilt that is at work. At the door of the haunted house, I remember you weren't scared of these things. Owen Kito asked me, can you carry it in later? I didn't deal with him much when I was in junior high school. One night of self-study, a classmate used the projection screen in the class to play a horror movie. I was too scared to look. When the exciting picture appeared, he escaped from the classroom as if he was escaping. Then Owen Kito chased after me, and he laughed at my bear-like appearance. He called me a coward. I countered that he was a sissy, and we had a hard fight. Since then, I've been honing my tolerance for horror movies from time to time, and I'm not the same person I used to be. I shrugged. You also know that it was before, and now I am fearless, and the old corpse in the mountain village has to give way when he sees me, said. He nodded leisurely and smiled. Awesome, that's for sure. However, you really can't be too arrogant. How ruthless the words were just now. How fast the slap in the face came. The dark corridor was dark, and the dim light at his feet reflected the terrible blood on the ground. It hadn't been long since I left, and I had been so frightened by the sudden emergence of several ghosts that I firmly clung to Owen Kito's arm. Louise Hamlet, aren't you afraid? he asked me in a low voice. I stiffened. I'm not afraid. I can't see that I'm protecting you. In the darkness, only a chuckle could be heard from him. Okay, if you protect me, follow me. As we walked, Owen Kito and I got separated from the group. My teammates were gone, but the screams were still reaching my eardrums from time to time. There was only one person left, and I had to tell Owen Kito, wait a minute, don't get separated from me. The voice has not yet fallen. Two ghosts rushed out from both sides, left and right. Owen Kito and I were pinned down. I didn't care if I could get separated, so I tried my best to break free from the ghost shackles, and ran into a room full of coffins or boxes that I don't know if they were coffins. I don't know how long it took. Unexpectedly, the ghost persevered and chased in. Hurried footsteps rushed to me. Don't come, don't come. The next second, my hand wrestling in the air was held in the warm palm of my hand. Don't be afraid. It's me. It's Owen Kito, not a ghost. I've never felt so reassured by his voice. All the grievances have been left behind by me. As he reached over and pulled me to my feet, I subconsciously wrapped my arms around his waist. He was like a lifesaver for me. Let's go, my dear. When it comes out, the lights get brighter. My heart was still beating wildly. Jackson had already come out first. Louise Hamlet, you and Owen Kito just made a secret move. What darkness, Chen Song. You were stupid by the ghost. No, you two little hands are holding hands. And it took so long to come out. I looked down and realized that I hadn't let go of Owen Kito's hand. And its 10-finger, tight, buckle. I quickly let go of this hot potato. I don't know if I'm wrong. The moment I let go of him, he looked a little hurt. Don't you guys have so big brains? There are so many ghosts in it. You're scared half to death, and you still kiss your mouth. I patted my heart and changed the subject. Weren't you afraid just now? I'm afraid. I'm going to crawl when I come out, Owen Kito said. You sit here for a while, and I'll be back later. In his absence, Eleanor said to me, why don't you thank us? Thanks for what? Create a chance for you. Jackson and I were deliberately separated from you just now. She said, you're all out of love anyway, so I don't think it's better to get a good match. Go, don't mess around. After a while, Owen Kito returned. I thought he had gone to the bathroom. As a result, he went to buy us milk tea. It's so intimate that I am a little impressed. The brown sugar bubble tea I bought just happened to be my favorite 3-point sugar. You know, when I was a child, I played with his toys, and he was not happy, and pushed me to the ground, stingily saying that it was his. It seems that my impression of him needs to be renewed. Back home, suddenly, I remembered something. When he came to me in the haunted house, I seemed to hear the word, good, but I was too nervous to pay attention. I guess it's my delusion, right? Well, an illusion for sure. If he found out, how could he be so kind enough to buy milk tea for me and my friends? I took him with me everywhere I went for the next few days, in order to get him out of my shadow. Oh no, out of Lovelorn. I can be said to have tried my best. Sure enough, he stopped smoking and drinking. After the already handsome face was gone, it was even more quacky and killed. Our relationship is not as tense as it used to be. It seems that he has managed to come out, and the guilt in my heart is gradually lessening, and it is replaced by a somewhat inexplicable emotion. Until Jackson's birthday, everyone played Truth or Dare, and when it was Owen Kito's turn, he chose Truth or Dare. Jackson asked him, Owen Kito, let me ask you a question. Do you still have a crush on your ex-girlfriend? In other words, do you still like her now? There was a moment of silence. I like it. At this moment, he was sitting directly across from me. As I said this, I was still eye to eye with him. At that moment, my heart was pounding. The tone was still incredibly affirmative. He added, she's fine, but I'm not worthy of her. Damn it, why is this love brain so difficult to save? But why? I just had a white throbbing. A few rounds later, Owen Kito was drawn again. This time he chose to take a big risk. Someone said, Owen Kito, call your ex-girlfriend and tell her you still love her. I found out that these people are really, why don't they want to let go of this topic? At the same time, I quietly reached into my pocket, quietly put the phone on silent. Owen Kito turned the glass in his hand, and smiled with a low eye. I won't fight, she won't take it. With that, he tilted his head and drank the wine from his glass. It's clear that it's him who drinks, but I felt the bitterness of wine in my throat and pain in my heart, and they said, have a drink. Next. Soon it was my turn to be asked, truth or dare? Tell me. Owen Kito, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. Do you regret breaking up? That moment, from admitting that my heart is empty, but still blurted out, I don't regret it. Owen Kito nodded knowingly, but did not answer, his eyes a little obscure. The lies I made up will be fulfilled with tears. And I continued, after all, the other party is an uncle in his 40s, ha ha ha. On the side, Jackson interjected, then if it's not an uncle in his 40s, but a handsome man who is more than 1.8 meters. As soon as he said this, everyone laughed. I said, maybe that's another story. No, you're foul. That's the second problem, I said, catching a glimpse of a smile on Owen Kito's lips. Jackson, you're tolerant of my birthday today. Hey, the big macho man Jackson said is more than 1.8 meters, and we also have one here. The rest of the eyes couldn't help but look at Owen Kito. He was noncommittal, chuckling at me, with a hint of frivolity. My heart was calming, and the deer started to bump again. Damn it, what the hell is wrong with me? I was flustered when he looked at him for so many times, and my ears were still a little hot. I didn't expect my alcohol to be so bad. I only drank a few glasses though. I feel a little dizzy in my head. The noise in the ears gradually changed from being there to nothing. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on a man's back, the streetlights on both sides of the street staggering backwards. The man had broad shoulders, a steady and strong hand holding me, a hairy back of his head, and a familiar and reassuring aura on his body. I'm not rejected, Owen Kito. Hey, what time is it? About 10:30. I poked him on the back of the neck, and suddenly teased him, my brother is carrying me like this. Aren't you afraid that your ex-girlfriend will be jealous? He was silent for a few moments. Then he asked me, do you think she's going to be jealous? Yes, I'm going to be jealous. I said something and flat twice on his back. Wait, you let me down. He walked over to the bench on the side of the road. Put me down. Me, someone is coming to pick me up. Don't bother you. He curled his lower lip with interest. Who? My boyfriend. I'm calling him. After I finished speaking, I hurried him aside. Go next to you. Don't eavesdrop on my phone call with him. Found his number in the phone book. It's just strange. Why did the note become, ex-boyfriend? Leave him alone. I'm going to call him to pick me up. I thought so, and pressed the dial. The moment of opening up, Owen Kito's phone rang. Not far away. He unhurriedly pressed the connection. Hey. And when this hey came out of my phone clearly, my whole body was sober, as if he was forced to turn on. He was stunned in place for a few seconds. Something I'm careful to hide. It turned out that it was like this, and I exposed myself. Owen Kito walked towards me, his eyebrows becoming clearer and clearer in the moonlight. Louise Hamlet, is the boyfriend you're looking for? The voice on the phone coincided with his current voice. I didn't know how to face this situation for a while, so I chose to run away. I don't need you to send it. I can go back myself. However, it didn't run far. The shoe on his left foot ran away from home and fell in the middle of the road. I can't run. I sat down in a chair next to me. Not far away, Owen Kito picked up my shoes. He walked up to me, and didn't say anything. Squatted down, lifted my feet, patted the dust on them, and thoughtfully helped me put my shoes back on. "What are you running?" He looked at me with heavy eyes, tilted his head slightly, and looked into my eyes. "Am I going to eat you? Or what's wrong with you?" This moment, I couldn't resist it anymore. My face was so hot that I couldn't look him in the eye. I heard him say to me, "Let's go home first. It's windy here." I just noticed that I was wearing his denim jacket, and he only wore a thin gray hoodie. Owen Kiddo took me back to his house. The door was not light or heavy, and he took it shut, and there was a click. Just when my mind was going up and down, he pinned me down in the corner of the hallway, kissed it heavily. I didn't even have time to close my eyes open. The breath is messed up, and the brain is messed up. Fingers gently pinched my earlobe. I felt my whole body go limp, and slowly closed my eyes. I didn't even have the strength to push him away. At this moment, countless memories flashed through my mind. The past of the previous for Tat is all blurred at this moment. All that remains is the kiss in front of you, the intertwining between snort and snort. A few seconds later, he distanced himself from me, a little. "Tell me clearly, what the hell did I lie to you?" "Me, you didn't lie to me." "Then why don't you want me? Why did you break up with me? What's wrong with me? You say, can't I change it?" As the boy spoke, the tail of his eyes turned red, and his voice was still indescribably aggrieved and uncomfortable. It can be seen that he really held back all the way just now. I couldn't resist his eyes, and I was determined to confess and be lenient. "Owen Kiddo, I really didn't mean to deceive your feelings, and you didn't have anything bad, although I didn't make it clear to you. But these days I'm trying to make up for you, and take you out for all kinds of distractions. I believe you can see it. Owen Kiddo, I don't want anything from you. I just want to know, do you want me? Let's it." He bowed his head, biting my lip lightly, as if punishing. It can be seen that he is not very satisfied with this answer. "If you want it, don't want it. What is it? What is it?" "Okay, I want you." He finally smiled, with a smile on the corners of his eyes and eyebrows, and took me into his arms. Something suddenly occurred to me. Beat him in the chest. "You too. Why do you want to post a photo of a big fat man on the game's homepage? Or maybe I won't delete you." "Photos." He frowned for a second, and after a moment he let go as if he thought of something, and said indignantly, "That's not me. My roommate sent it with my account. Don't worry, when school starts, I'll go back and teach him a lesson. Also, someone in the group photographed you and your girlfriend before. What's going on?" "What photo?" I named exactly the day I saw the photo. He rubbed my head. "That's my cousin. She has an event to come to our school. I just took her to the cafeteria for a meal." "How do you remember it so clearly? Who made you my nemesis?" "And now," I bowed my head a little shyly, "it's my boyfriend now." He said this so that his tail was almost up to the sky. He also graciously brought me a glass of warm honey water. I drank the sweet honey water and said, "I didn't expect you to be quite good at taking care of people." "There's a lot of things you didn't expect." "What?" "You'll find out later." "Okay, then I'll go home first. It's not too early." As he spoke, he placed the empty cup in my hand on the table. Then he hugged me in his lap. "The sweetness of honey blooms on the tip of the tongue. Kiss a little longer, and I'll let you go." One day after being together, I dreamed of Owen Kiddo as a child. Not long after he moved in, I saw him on the balcony of my house. I was fascinated by him at first sight. I begged my mom to take me to his house every day to play with the good-looking brother who had just moved in, and looked like a prince. So it wasn't long before my mom took me to visit his house, where he had just moved in, and Owen Kiddo's mom brought me one of his toys for me to play with. But as soon as I picked up the toy, I was pushed to the ground by Owen Kiddo, who rushed out of the room. "Who told you to touch my stuff?" In a fit of rage, he snatched the toy from my hand. I was taken aback by him. Helpless, he said, "I'm sorry. Can you lend me your blocks to play with?" "No, You can't, he said coldly. I don't give my toys to girls too. Then he moved all the toys in the living room back to his room. I was scared to cry by him, and he was beaten up by his parents. When I woke up, Owen Kiddo was already sitting downstairs waiting for me. My mom had gone to work, and he was the only one in the living room. I washed up and walked downstairs. As soon as I saw Owen Kiddo, I thought of the way he snatched the toy from my hand with angry eyes when I was a child. Why didn't you sleep well last night? Owen Kiddo was concerned. He walked up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. It's not that I didn't sleep well. Who mess with my wife? I didn't expect his wife to call so smoothly. There was a faint glow of heat on my face. It's you. I dreamed that the first time I saw you when I was a child, you didn't let me play with the stingy appearance of your toys, and pushed me to the ground. Do you remember? I'm sorry. I was pretty stingy at the time. He admitted his mistakes with a good attitude. I didn't bother with him anymore. Standing on tiptoe, he kissed him heavily on the cheek. Good attitude to admit mistakes. Reward you. With a smile on his lips, he pinched my face and said, don't worry, I'll let you play whatever you want in the future. Okay, really? I looked into his sincere eyes. Anything. He laughed. Well, including me. My ears were hot. Really? Who wants to play with you? How can I play with you alone? You'll find out later. Owen Kiddo took me to his house and said he had something for me. I just didn't expect it. He is actually a reckoning after the autumn. Last time, I seem to remember someone saying that I was an uncle in my 40s, old and ugly, and I only had one good 8-pack ab, and I thought I needed to clarify it. What are you going to do? As soon as I finished speaking, he took my hand and reached into his t-shirt. The firm, undulating lines of muscles slid down in my palms. Somehow, clarifying, I collapsed into his soft bed. He pressed against me, his chest muscles against my upper body, from my eyes to my mouth, to my earlobes, and then to my neck. I tilted my head sideways, the verdant branches outside his window swaying gently in the breeze, and the clear blue sky bloomed with large clouds. Owen Kiddo, your window. The window is not closed. He sat up, closed the windows, and then took something out of the drawer. After realizing what that was, I got out of bed, and my heart was beating almost out of my chest. Owen Kiddo, it's daylight. I'm afraid it's to do that kind of thing. But when he handed it over, I just realized that this is not what I thought it was. It's 2 concert tickets, and it's the concert of my male god that I didn't grab last month, and the time is the day after tomorrow. What kind of thing to do? He looked at me with a big smile. I excitedly threw myself over and hugged him. You kid, how dare you fool me? I smacked him hard in the face. Do you want to go? Of course, he said. I wanted to give you a gift when I met you, but now I think it's too late to give it to you. As for the kind of thing you said, don't worry, after the concert, we have time. Owen Kiddo, when I was a kid, I really didn't understand the amorous feelings. Not a single toy would lend her anything. I don't know where to learn the stinky problem. I think boys can only play with boys, and it's not interesting to play with girls. It led to her and I forming a bond. When I was in the 3rd year of junior high school, I was unexpectedly assigned to the same class as her. She was in the 3rd row, and I sat behind her. Mutual resentment is our daily routine. Sometimes when she leaned back, her black ponytail would touch my book, but I didn't bother it, even expecting her to lean back. I don't know when I started to pay attention to the scenery outside the window. Instead, I began to be distracted by her dangling ponytail so often that it seemed to scratch the tip of my heart. Once, someone in the class showed a horror movie. She was so timid that she left the classroom in fright. When I found her in the hallway, the words of concern that I wanted to say were inexplicably incomprehensible again, and I laughed at her for being a coward. At that time, it was getting dark fast in winter. and she didn't dare to go home alone after evening self-study. I deliberately found her and quarreled with her. I argued with her all the way to the door. The moment I watched her go in, I was also relieved. In high school, they were in the same school, but I didn't work in the same class. One time when she bumped into a girl and sent me a love letter, I didn't accept it. I just couldn't help but wonder if there would be a boy who would send her a love letter. So I asked her if she had ever received it. Unexpectedly, when she heard it, she thought I was provoking her. "Don't worry, I will definitely get off the list before you, in the future." I heard that her grades dropped by more than 100 after a big exam. I asked her if she needed me to help her with tuition. She thought I was deliberately showing off. I'm at a loss for words. If you want to blame me, it's me. When I was a child, broke the steel bar between the two of us. Until freshman winter break, I stumbled upon a glimpse of her game ID, Little Buster. When I got home, I added her friends and took the opportunity to play games and chat with her online. There is no barrier in reality. Her attitude towards me online was noticeably very friendly. I also took the opportunity to get in touch with the other side of her. Cute, vivid and funny. If there is a time machine, to be honest, I really want to go back in time and give myself 2 slaps in the face. Just when I was struggling with whether to ask her out to meet and contact her first, but she confessed to me. I was so happy that I didn't sleep all night. The next day, I ran into her again in reality, and she still didn't have a good face for me. She showed me off a gift from her boyfriend. My boyfriend is good to me. I had a bad look on my face. In fact, I was crazy in my heart. I realized that I couldn't let her find out I was Owen Kito so quickly. I just didn't expect it. Didn't wait for the opportunity to appear. First waited for her blocking. She said we weren't suitable. I didn't sleep that night, and when I think about it, I can only think of one possibility, and that is that she found out that I was her online dating partner. So, when she came to the bar to find me, I took her in my arms and asked her why she broke up with me, but she said I had the wrong person. At that moment I knew my chance had come. I bet she'll ever turn back. So when she turned around and was about to leave, I pretended to be drunk and collapsed on the table. For a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Eventually, the departing leg stopped and walked back to me. This time, I made the right bet, but I still willingly bet on the rest of my life. The end.